It is repetition which makes for perfection.
Get to the drawing, monkey boy. That's what he says. Thank you. This is number 53. So by my count, after this, there's 7 more. Of those 7, 1 is already accounted for, meaning one of the winners previous had called out for a sketch right as I transitioned into the head sketches, and I said, all right, I'll just save this one for later. So that's figured out, and then I've got to reach out to the winners of the last of 50, 52, see what they wanted. And then I was going to stop the buyer chosen ones, and I had a couple. I think the last 2 or 3 I kind of already knew in my head what I wanted to do, but I might open it back up. I think the important thing at this point, given how much time has passed, is just to finish, because the amount of money raised has been way above kind of my my wildest dreams. Actually, geez, I mean, even in terms of like the high bid, I did this piece for San Diego Comic-Con, which was recorded a while ago, and I talked a little bit about how I was shocked and surprised that Ace the Bat Hound was the one piece that has performed the best for myself, in terms of, and when I sat down to draw it, I was like, oh, do I really do this? Ace the Bat Hound? Like, I'm trying to raise money here, for a good cause. And but I said, you know what? I set up the rules. I will follow the rules. I will draw this, the high bidder of the previous sketches choice, and I did work in Batman, of course, but and I did put my heart and soul into it, like I do for everything for you guys, and then it went on to just kill it, raising over 20 grand for a single sketch, and then that was just recently broken by gosh, what was it? Was it the Harley Joker piece? Right? And that broke, I think, 21 grand or something. Some crazy number. So yeah, it's just I got sidetracked, obviously, by all the demonstrations. I wanted to raise money for some really other worthy causes, continue to be worthy causes. So continue to do that going forward. But then also, this fandom stuff has hit. This other connectivity. It's connectivity. I like that. Connectivity. Should trademark that, like 3P. See, I'm still thinking about it. Here. So in my head, I'm going, do I do all the pure blacks closest to here and then do more cross hatching on the outer edges? Or is it darker true blacks out here and more cross hatching as I go here? And initially I thought that I was going to do black going to a dark crosshatch here, but then I'm thinking, no, the light logic is that it's most intense there, so the shadows would be deepest here, and then in the other areas it's like bounced lighting and stuff like that. So at least that's what I'm telling myself right now. All I know is that the more deep, solid blacks I put in, I think the more dramatic it looks. The more noodly cross-hatching I put in, the more people appreciate the time and effort that, the textures and all that kind of stuff, the layers, right? So they achieve different things. Have to decide what it is that you're trying to strive for with that piece. And this, ladies and germs, is is called a brush. It is a real life uh, compilation of animal hairs, sable hairs. This is a Winsor Newton Series 7, number 4. The larger the number, 4, the wider the brush. Most people ink with like a 2 or 3. This is a 4 because I don't hold back. No, because I don't know, it fills in blacks faster. Let me just say, after I've got a week, maybe a week and a half more of fandom activity that I need to do. But then after that, I would like to, especially in this day and age, refocus on making the stream great again. Um, MTGA. Make every Twitch great again. Metka. I don't know. Hope you guys have all been safe. And I am going to proselytize a little bit. I hope you guys all wear masks outside. I'd like to think that people that follow me and my art, that we all share a shared sensibility. Or maybe you're in the bathroom, like me, sitting on the stall for like hours on end. I'll be right out, honey. Watching streams. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I was getting all political. No, I'm not being political. That's just I actually don't care what your politics are. Um, but I will share with you. Someone said like, "Hey, here's looking to hopefully 2021. We'll see." I'm writing off 2021 right now. I'm telling you, mentally, I am prepared that this is going to last longer than that. But and that I think that's just because I think we as a culture country cannot figure out how to save ourselves. I assume most people, when they get on a plane, they tell you to put your seatbelts on before we take off. Some people don't, and they have to be admonished by the flight attendants. But most people do, because that's that's what you're asked to do. You're on someone else's airplane, even though you've paid money to be on that airplane. But part of the agreement is that they have their safety regulations, and you have to follow it before they will take off and get you to where you want to go. Right? You're not buying the ticket to sit on the plane. You're buying the ticket to get somewhere. So, in my mind, well, look, I'm already introducing some little white areas there. If you want Comic Con again, people to aggregate in large numbers, and this won't happen until there's one thing like opening things up to small gatherings of like 10 or less people. But if you want things like Comic Con or any major comic book convention, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people coming together, you're just gonna have to wear the goddamn mask. That's it. Oh my gosh. So yeah, so I just don't see how 2021 looks any better. So I'm just trying to mentally, when I started this whole process, the 60 sketches over 60 days, uh, I was like, it'd be cool to time this so that like it's over the charity thing. It's timed with like when stores will be back open, and I was like 100 for 100. Well, that's a lot more sketches, and I don't know if this is going to last 100 days. Initially, thought like, oh, 2 weeks of quarantine, cool. 2 months is then became kind of like, okay, that's what it's going to be. All right, let's do it. Now here we are. What are we? 3 plus 7, 4 months, 5 months now. Um, and then with you saw they loosen up the rules, cases go up. We're still trying to figure out what to do with our kids going into the fall. It's a mess. It's a mess. Because here's the thing: you can wish and want certain things to happen, but as SMCAR-T 313 knows, this is a virus. It's not a first of its kind virus. We have dealt with these pandemics before. You look at the history. That's what I'm looking for. Undeniable. You put a lot of people together, it will spread because there's no vaccine. And given how, when I go out, I'd say about half the people in LA are wearing masks. Again, not that each, like, if you're not going to affect it, but it's that it's everyone kind of deciding on their own what's appropriate, which is going to just keep this thing going, as opposed to everyone just sort of saying, you know what, I'll wear this stupid friggin' mask even when I'm driving by myself in my car, just to show people that it's no big deal. And that's where I'm at. Because until this is under control, people aren't gonna go to Comic Cons. Why would you? And look, you don't even have to buy into the data or any of the numbers, but you should just know that it's still around, still contagious. If you think this is a hoax, go ahead and don't wear the mask. I support you and your delusions. But everyone else and I would say all the sane people in the world, country, uh, if you realize it's not a hoax, maybe it's over indexed or over reported, underreported, whatever you want to, like, it's there. You know how we mitigate or reduce the spread. Just do it. Just do it. Right? SM Cardi 313. It would be funny if in chat the whole time he's going like, "Hey, I'm a medical doctor. I just want you guys all to know, based on my observations and expertise in epidemiology, viruses. Um, Jim is a good artist, but he knows nothing about science. Science diatribes. What's it called? It was there was a theory. Oh my gosh, finally proved that to be the case, and then people still kind of. These are huge advances in our collective knowledge, and now people are just trying to like roll back the contributions of all the generations ahead of us, people that discover that the world is a sphere, that diseases could be spread through social interaction, through microscopic particles. Fear for our future. Yeah, is anyone a flat earther? Because I would love to understand. I was thinking about this the other day. So do they think the world is a endless flat plane? Like what's on the underside of it? Or is it like a magnetic sheet and the people underneath, like China, are magnetically attached to the bottom part of the earth and we're attached to the top? Or from their point of view, they're in the top or the bottom? No one's embarrassed. I'll give that away. This is the giveaway stream. given that we started exceptionally late, uh, I'll have to stream again. And then we have our, is it the 3 year anniversary of the stream later this August? Like August 28th or something like that? Is that, and I hate that. Just know that the bolder I am with the black shadows, the cooler this will look. Being held back by my OCD need to kind of render and get full credit for all the work I've done. You know what I'm saying? Like every time I do this or that little line, like, ooh, I'm very, that's so precious. I don't want to lose that little line. I'm just going to ink around it. I should just like make this all black. Just one huge shadow. So anyway, getting back to this mask thing, the last thing I'll say, it's kind of like when I try to break into this business, as I infamously shared on this Kevin Smith podcast. I used to run around. I was like, just graduated from college. I lived in St. Louis. It's the summer, and I would run on a field because that's what I had been indoctrinated to do, work out, right? I don't even know why I was working out. There's nothing to prove. I wasn't involved in any sports, but I would go to a local high school track, and I would run, I don't know, a mile or 2 miles around the track. And but while I was running, I would chant Miller, Burn, Miller, Burn, Miller. Those are my two favorite artists, and those are the people I wanted to emulate. And when you're trying to break into something or you want something that is intangible like that, it's hard to stay focused. Like, how do you get there? Like, what is it that you do to become a better artist? The truth is, you draw, but I was just a kid. I was stupid. I thought running around a track chanting people's names would make a difference. But it did. The whole idea was that it was to sort of make a intangible goal something tangible. Like every step I took towards this um, long distance represented a physical step forward. So I wear a mask even when I'm in the car. No one's around because to me, every time I wear a mask is another step towards this getting better. Right? It is literally Miller burn, Miller burn. Just wear the mask. I'm wearing it. I'm wearing it. There's no chance I am helping anyone at this moment because I'm in a sealed car driving around an area where there's no one around. It's 3 in the morning, whatever. Uh, but mentally in my head, I am doing the equivalent of Miller burn, Miller burn. If I put these steps in, if I just continue down this path, uh, I will get closer to where we need to be. What is that? Is that something that everyone gets? Can I order it on Amazon, Instacart, Postmates, Grubhub? Hello? I would like a double order of free time. Yes. Yes. No fries, please. Crispy egg roll. A BOGO on the free time. So yeah, I don't do that digitally because I don't have free time. Oh, I do. But to answer your question, I don't mind doing stuff digitally. It's just, you know, It I prefer working analog, but with every passing month, this feels more and more horribly antiquated. That's why I was sort of saying this is a brush. This is what a brush looks like. Holds ink. The power of surface tension. Yeah. Run Barry Run 77 asks if I've watched the Todd McFarlane documentary that I was a part of. I have not. I haven't seen any of the documentaries I've been a part of. That is the truth. Partly because it's awkward. Whoa, that is one handsome, articulate fellow. I'm talking about Todd. Um, and and if I'm not that, and I go like, oh, that is one ugly, mumbly mouth fool. Then I go like, oh, this makes me feel bad because I can't change this. It's already out in the world. So it's just better to live in full ignorance and just not even. I did my best. It's out there. I can't change it. Live with it. I don't have to watch it to proof it or I don't know, whatever. Although I did watch one of, well, yeah, it does happen rarely, but it's just makes me cringe. It's cringe. It's like the first time you guys probably anyone has seen themselves or heard themselves on video, which I recognize it might just be of my generation. Right? For a long time as a kid, you go without seeing yourself or really focusing on it or hearing yourself captured on video, at least for me, because there were no video cameras around for a long time. And the first time they came out, it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But now, certainly with like my youngest kids, they don't know a world without a camera. They don't know a world without being digitally recorded and shared. And so for them, it's like, you know, second skin. Well, usually in person that they watch with their kid or their kids into it, um, which is really cool. That's why I try to keep this um, family friendly because when I start talking about mass, sometimes I get a little crazy in real life. It's much more colorful when I talk about it. But what can he do? Yeah, it's 6 years old. Well, first, he should clean up his room and thank his mommy and daddy every day. Scoring some points with the mommies and daddies out there. And the reason why is because they're providing an awesome environment for you to indulge your things that you really like. Ask for V-Bucks too. V-Bucks, yes. I think getting V-Bucks, Aquaman, and Black Manta skins makes you a better artist. I don't know. 6 years old, man. Here's what I tell kids: just draw for fun. And I think at 6, I love the fact that your son loves drawing. You should definitely encourage that by letting him just kind of draw whatever he wants. Mm. And it seems like you are. I mean, being able to watch and do this kind of stuff. But then later, when he gets to about 15, 16, or earlier, if they're so compelled, maybe get a sketchbook and draw from life. Add beyond drawing superheroes, like drawing trees and landscapes and cars and people outside not wearing masks. Um, yeah. And then around that time, maybe start thinking about doing panel to panel storytelling, adding that on if they haven't already. That said, I didn't draw panel to panel stuff till I was like 17, 18. And even then, I think the comic I drew on typewriter paper at high school was probably 14 or 15 pages. I couldn't even complete the whole thing. And I didn't do panel to panel work again until I got serious about applying, trying to get into the world of comics when I was like 21, 22, 20. Yeah, broke in 87, 86. Yeah, 22. A common enemy in their parents, and so they'll start banding together, conspiring together, strategizing against you. It builds a unique and endless bond between siblings. Easier than one because they get to play with one another and entertain one another. If you have an only child, like you're your parents and their best friend. Um, yeah. Is that not the case? It is. But then let me tell you, three is about the same as two. Four is definitely more work, especially if they're very clustered around the same age. Just gonna be running around a lot. But after you get past four, I think four, five, six, they're all about the same. You get to seven, I would say stop because that's where I'm at, and it's a lot of work. I just say I stop at nine because that's just my experience. Maybe at 10 or 11, there's a breakthrough, and you go like, "Holy cow! Why did I hold back? I should definitely have had 11 kids. It's so much easier." For a long time, I thought like, "Oh, I'll have if I have nine kids, like I will definitely have one of these kids like watch after me or take care of me later in life, right?" Kind of creating my own future, kind of healthcare service provider, someone that will look out for me. Then I'm like, no, what happens with nine kids is that they all feel like there's someone else that'll do it because this is how it works with like washing the dishes or doing chores. Someone else will do that stuff, so I don't need to. They'll all like, which really is, you know, the bane of civilizations, right? It's like, oh, I don't need to clean up after myself. There's someone else that'll do it. If we make it to the robot stage, I don't know. During the height of, well, who knows, it might still be going on. Like, I think in the UK, especially, people are going out and like setting fire to 5G towers. Maybe they're just like huge comic book fans that didn't like some of the things they were hearing about 5G. That's a bad comic book joke. So, yeah, people are doing that. As soon as there's like a factory that produces robots that could take someone's job away, I sense mass revolt. Just for Copa compliance, Copa Cabana compliance. But otherwise, you go to URL. There's so much great content, guys. been sifting through all the art submissions as well. Really cool stuff. It always amazes me. It's like we're like the power. Like we just assume that when we create technology or technological breakthroughs, like we don't think about the implications of it much. How it changes us as a species. Because clearly, you look at the animal world, animals adapt, change behavior to maximize their ability to breed, hunt, feed themselves, etc., etc. But for the most part, they're hardwired to act a certain way. We started introducing these huge variables like social media, money, uh, culture. I mean, we're living in a giant experiment of our own creation. We don't know the profound implications of what this does to us as a species. We just assume advancement, technological breakthroughs are good things. I don't know. Okay, that makes sense. But you're gonna have that outside, right? Okay, great. All right, thank you. I'll be done soon. Uh, yes. So one of my kids and her boyfriend are coming over, but we're gonna eat outside and social distance because I haven't seen them in a while. All I know is the more you do of all this, the easier it is to deal with. Again, I'm just like Miller burn, Miller burn. This gets me closer to the life I once remembered. Yeah, that's sorry for that internet burp there. I don't know what was going on, but something obviously impacted. Um, so I had these controls here in black. I'm going to put a little highlight around them, but I might just go all black with this one. It's like a shadow falling on the handle itself, so this is all black. Except for the top part there. Let's go ahead. I think if you're in Hungary, I'm trying to say too many bad jokes. There should be a timeout, like a penalty box, like in hockey. Like my mic goes mute and then my screen just flashes. Just draw, just draw, just draw. Get back at it. And I started the second issue. If I could go back in time. I worked with him also on Multiversity one shot. I love working with him. His scripts are amazing. Scripts are amazing for sure. You just keep doing this over and over again. Distracting. Oh yeah. Just watched Chinatown the other week. That's right. Good stuff in there. And I have more than one green jacket. Yeah. Yeah, there was a period where it was just constant filming. And it's all done at your house, right? It's just like you set up a green screen or you set up the backdrop. Sometimes I'd have AirPods, sometimes I would just use the computer speaker. But all of the the recording and then obviously the artwork that was done sort of exclusively for this event took up a lot of time. So I was not able to get to these sketches and support the retailers. So that is my new goal for this week is to get this campaign done. It's lasted a lot longer than originally planned. But you know what? 2020 has been a different year for sure, and that is a understatement. So I planned this stream because I figured we can get caught up, talk about fandom, and it would also force me to it's done. I actually got most of it. Like so, this piece will be have fully been completed on stream. I think mostly from start to finish. But what I'm doing now is just filling in details and adjusting the values, and that'll get done. And I'll pop that up on eBay. Get moving, get closer to that 60 on 60, even though it's way more than 60 days. The idea is to make it seem like it's kind of rough metal, not like slick plastic. That by just putting like these little grain dot, like these little dots like that. Can you see that? I like to almost go to black with a little bit of white showing through, and that's where these things can get really multi-layered. So hopefully there was something for everyone at Fandom. can you imagine if the other 100+ hours of content were available during all the 8 hours that you guys just watched? If you watched the full 8 hours, I basically sat on the couch for 8 hours and watched the whole thing. Um, but yeah, I would have felt compelled, like just from a fear of missing out perspective, like like I'm gonna get this chance. I need to see as much as I can. Kind of push yourself, right? Um, Now I have this opportunity to wait till September 12th, and then even on September 12th, you're gonna have to make some tough decisions, guys. I mean, there's a lot of really great programming and things you can do, like read free comics or a panel or comic, what have you, and you can tailor it to your day, and you can now do that off your mobile devices, which I think is huge. Pivot, but I mean, I think it's going to give you guys a superior um, day of interacting with all the content that was created on the 5 different islands. And you're still going to see that theming of it, and the content is still aggregated by sort of concept. Content, you know, the load time would just be for the clip itself. And so we feel it's a more elegant presentation of all the content. It'll allow you guys to make a stab at seeing everything you want to see. And 3 weeks, on one hand, seems like a fairly long period of time, but you guys, and I know it's going to fly by, especially as we head into a busy Labor Day weekend, start of school for many of you. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in our lives. Then, boom, September 12th, have that moment to kind of take the day off. Just, again, be blown away by the amount of stuff that we have to show you. Other cool things that we're celebrating later in September and October. I'm going to start knocking these back, these white shapes here. And so I'm going to go, let's do it methodically. Let's go ahead and do this rendering along the length of the canisters, right? So the rendering lines are going to go in this direction here, right? And in that direction there. This direction slightly. So each one's going to have a slightly different thing. It basically creates this motion by having the values line up. Now I'm going to break that directional bit of rendering as I go from a level 1 of darkness. Let's just call this a level 1, and then try to maybe amp it up to a level 2, 3, 4, whatever, almost black, right? So it's like busy work. If I knew exactly how dark I wanted this to be, I can go straight to it. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. Now, there's a school of thought that allows you to just basically say, I'm not going to go to any grays, just keep it all like super high contrast. And I could, if that were the case, I would already be done. But with a lot of these sketches, I was kind of really playing with tonal values, a lot of very light rendering, kind of doing something different in time of COVID. And I'm going to kind of bring that back into this. So, while I have you guys here, what would you have wanted to see more of in fandom? And to be nice, let's say, what would you have preferred prefer not to see as much of, but don't be a jerk. Someone said on Twitter, like, yeah, if you'll see 912, I mean, not so much on newer productions, but there's a lot of great content like panels that you would never see at a physical in-person Comic Con. People, costume design, set location design, or set design. It really just the all the labor that goes into a film or TV production. Oh, stunt. There's a panel with about stunt people. It's really great. Comic art critiquing. Yep. So on the 12th, there's more of that. I did five, I believe, and they we showed one, the villains one, over this 24 hour. But come September 12th, I believe there's like four more, and then Warner Brothers Animation president Sam Register has three or four critiques as well. So there's a variety of. These are really good as well. Wow. Yeah. So this was all done during COVID. Um, no one was in the same space, physical space. I mean, even Aisha Tyler talking to Matt Reeves. Matt is over in the UK, and she, I think, is in LA and stuff. So, can you imagine getting? Well, I guess like some of those panels, like the Wonder Woman Suicide Squad. They got a lot of people on at the same time. Yeah, good idea. More Wildstorm. Yeah, you never know. That's all I'll say on that. It wasn't meant to be like all encompassing. Obviously other projects have been announced. See, and but at the same time, we had to have something there to present with the pandemic. You know, made it very challenging to have. Yeah, more comic artists. Oh yeah, giveaways on an event like that are really a challenge from a legal point of view. Even the fan art contest, cosplay contest, was limited in what countries we can make that um, available in. And then, of course, when that happens, you have fans that don't understand that that's the reason why we're not trying to discriminate against fans in certain countries. And so sometimes it kind of engenders creates more ill will than creates goodwill, right? Watch what happens though, as I start taking to like a grade two in terms of darkness. And this time I'm going perpendicular to the angles I created before. That means I have to rotate my rendering. Here. So with this approach, I don't mind if it gets super dark. on the sides here. It almost goes to black. Right, but now you start seeing these shapes kind of recede into the darkness. So there's a lot of activity going on down here you don't see up here. Right. Now I'm going to pick a third angle. And the third angle just makes the cross hatching even darker. Right. So now I've got something that's kind of lighter gray here going into a darker gray black. What I was shooting for. Just trying to make these two things similar shape here. They don't have to be entirely similar because as you move away from the focal point, people spend less time on their fringes. So is it a cynical way of saying I don't have to worry as much about my drawing skills on the edges of a drawing? I guess that's kind of true. So these lines kind of flatten out the shapes back here with the pattern I put, and that like that dark line there really breaks that circular shape. But I know that I'm also going to go in. That's just not the end result of it. So I can finesse the rendering, the roundness, and just get it darker and darker. Reestablish the proper rendering to create spherical shape. Some of this here. Just darken this up. I don't even care if it goes mostly to black. Right. And then we're going to darken all this back here as well. To me, it's like one of those, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like abstract painters. They'll go and lay a color down, and then like an hour in, they'll put paint over that paint and basically destroy all the paint that color. It just kind of disappears, but it exists underneath that paint. So the idea is that maybe just something kind of peeks through, something that you can't even visually see, but it's there. And so there is like a total cumulative effect. So even if this were to all go to black, the fact that I'm doing it this way versus just taking a brush and just putting 100% black down creates something very different, in my opinion. Maybe it's a subtle difference, not a big difference, but see how it's going darker and darker? Now, what happens if I take this almost all the way to black? You might say, well, why don't you just take a brush and make it all black? Two different approaches, two different results. Just a little flecks of white showing through there. The eye picks up on it. I can see it. Maybe not overtly or consciously, but I do feel like it does make a difference. More subtlety and atmosphere, I think. Well, I'm not going to say atmosphere. More subtlety with cross hatching. A bigger, bolder statement, just doing straight black and white. Slowly but surely. Maybe even these shells here are a cast shadow. So there's a part of them that peeks out. See how that goes? But now I'm wondering if I should just go even further to black. Right, so watch this. And this happened a lot on these sketches I did in quarantine, where you're reacting to the lines you already put down and go like, that looks interesting, but I think I should go darker. What happens if I go darker? In a weird way, I create more visual interest through all this cross hatching down here, but I also try to be less inviting to the eye because it's further away from the center and it's just darker. Why fight to look in the shadows for things when you can see the stuff that's clearly out in the plain light? So if you're doing this, you got to be into rendering. You kind of have to like embrace this idea that to get something kind of interesting or cool is going to just require a lot of physical manual movements of a marker. So it's kind of nice some people just do everything with brush, and some some very satisfying things you get out of just being able to take a brush and just creatively creating a shape so quickly and its power. So I get, it gets a little tricky. All right, so let's just start making inroads here. Gonna have to go for it. That was the original plan. Like almost all this down here was gonna be black. Could have just easily gone with a brush and just made this all black, and would have had a very different kind of vibe. Still would have worked really well. But I could still do that at the end. I could a lot easier to ink over in black than it is to bring things back out of the darkness. Shadow. Missing something? Oh, elections. Duh. I get what you're saying on one hand, but you know, COVID, a political disease. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Maybe we could put some policies in to really kind of stamp it out, like other countries have been able to. Other cities have been able to. Like LA's been pretty hard hit. Oh, I even take on that high level light there, and then even the wrinkles. We're going to do something that goes across this that surface, that slightly curved surface. So the lines are going to be they're not going to be perfectly straight, but kind of like arcs. But just doing a standard grid crosshatch, straight up and down, 90-degree lines. You can see how it kind of all changes. Make this even darker now. Get a shirt with a date on it. Again, this is all our first time at doing it. Kind of like a tour t-shirt. Did you guys find, dude? Actually, I don't think that's even possible. Boy, that's a good question. Can I answer AC Milan? No. Barca? No. Uh, no. That's tough because I'm basically drawing over stuff I've already drawn. Potentially obliterating it from view. But what I'm trying to do is bring a little more three-dimensionality into it. So like this is his waist. Everything on his waist. Would have actually been black, but all right. So I'm trying to define his utility belt here. I lost some of the shapes by creating such an up and down scheme. Now, what happens if I do this? Now, I've been working on this piece for a while now. I think I've said before, a lot of times, like, I keep the final image in short-term memory, like, as I do it. Like, I know what it's going to look like at the end. When I take something and spread it out over a longer period of time, I actually forget what I was originally planning on doing. Um, so it's just gonna be a little different than what I really originally imagined. But at the same time, you guys don't know what you haven't seen yet, so you don't know. And I don't know since it doesn't even exist yet. So I don't beat myself up too much about it. Other than I did have a different vision at the start. There. Knock that back a little bit. That. All right. So the idea is that his arms and his helmet are casting a shadow on top of his legs. And things to like that medium gray. And even this cape here to a near dark black. This to life here. a ton of people at Warner Brothers, man. They really pulled out all the stops. I've really elevated DC in a way that I haven't seen in the years I've been. And I've seen some amazing, Hall H presentations and some really big initiatives, whether it was Batman 80, New 52. This You know how when you're a kid you're drawing and you don't like what you're drawing, you cross it out. You put lines like this on top of it to make it go away. Sort of the same concept here, except I'm not trying to make it go away. I'm trying to make it less visually the center of everything, right? To see it, and again, we're like on pins and needles, like please don't crash. Make sure the store um, has enough resources to handle the traffic, and all that was adjusted on the fly and done, and it was good. I was watching, well, it was my own ISP, ISP, I think, or my own uh, bandwidth limitations at the house as kids. I think were probably FaceTiming or gaming or things like that. And I'll tell you, like even at 8 hours, you're like, wow, what will 8 hours feel like? It went by super fast for me, and I enjoyed every segment. I mean, and it was served up in a way like it was. Some people, even the Super Bowl has a halftime, right? I think a lot of people had pizza, and that's what we ended up ordering out so that we could all just kind of sit and watch. The whole family was doing it. Okay, I think I'm getting close to being done, and I say that with a wink, wink. Sure. Let's see what happens. I love stuff like this where you just see a little bit of rim lighting on objects. To me, that's like super old school comic book art. It's the way the masters used to do it. People still do it, but not as much, in my opinion. So let's add a third angle. So to make things darker, you can either apply more and more layers of cross-hatching at different angles. You can use thicker pens. You can have the lines be closer or further apart. So there's actually a kind of an infinite number of ways of doing it if you think about all those variables. So just like signature being unique, or each of our, we all would do it in a slightly different way that would be unique to our own personal styles and the way we draw and the way we see the world, right? It's kind of special when you think about it. Like no one else can do it the way I'm doing it. And the same applies to you all, right? That decision you make, like what thickness marker and how close should the lines be to one another, and how many levels of gray am I going to put on top of this? I guess you could teach that to AI for it to kind of go through that decision making process and then to randomize it to some sort of pattern. That makes any sense? Um, let's knock this back a little bit. I'm going to do something here. Rather than knock these screens back, I'm going to try to do something here. What happens if I make the screens where it's like a black on white screen? If I can do this. Now, if this were a printed comic book, I might just say, hey, Alex, grab some cool computer stuff and throw it on the screens. You know, circles, power, power graphs, um, heat maps, techy looking, just like background stuff. But if I'm going to hand draw it, approximate it, the idea is to push these screens back by putting something black on the screen itself rather than crosshatch over the screens as if the screens were dark. People, will vote on it, kind of thing. Art is subjective, right? That's right. That's what I've always heard. But but don't hide behind that. Don't go like, oh yeah, yeah, my work could be technically better, but it's subjective. Go away. Like can't do that either. So I think you just have to be able to filter that kind of negativity for your own purposes, because you're always going to have it. You know, people complain about my artwork all the time, and I'm not just talking about you all. Um, so yeah, you want the audience to enjoy it, and it can sting if they don't. But if you're enjoying it and you're accomplishing what you wanted to accomplish, that counts for a lot, doesn't it? Did I do shots today? No, today's Sunday, the day of rest. So do not let anyone get you down what I would recommend is getting a sketchbook and just drawing what you enjoy, going online and watching people to try to teach you art on YouTube, etc., or Twitch, and enjoy. 13 is awesome, awesome. Yeah. So then, and then maybe as you get older, when you're like 16, 17, maybe start considering doing panel to panel art, storytelling. But at 13, I would just draw what gives you joy, and drawing should be fun first. Later, when it becomes a job, it sucks the joy out of your life. I mean, no, I mean, but yeah, don't put that crazy pressure on yourself to get a job and you know, um, be an artist that knows everything. Because I'll tell you, there is no point where you will ever learn everything and know everything. In fact, as you get older and learn more, the more you realize you don't know. The more you become an expert, if you truly become an expert, you realize really how nuanced and hard how hard it is to really know everything about a subject, right? So that's my one topic to you. So keep at it. Keep at it. I didn't break in until I was 22, I think. Something on Twitter I saw someone was complaining about before my marker dries out. Redunculus art, $30. People think that's too much. Well, they might be right. Depends on what they're getting, right? It's all relative. Look, uh, I remember making $15 for a commission, and I thought, like, wow, like I'm killing it, and I was, because when you're making nothing, and then all of a sudden you're making $15 for several hours of work, you're just happy. You're happy that you're being acknowledged for your ability, and that someone would like what you're doing enough to take some of the money that they worked very hard to earn and give it to you for something that brings them joy. So, and look, it's supply and demand. If they think it's too much and you're not able to get a lot of commissions at that price, then maybe you are priced too high. You don't need to get rich overnight, right? I lose track of time. The more you do, the better you get at it, and that is absolute truth. And when I say all the time, like hours every day. And I think at 13, it's just too much. You should know it's crazy stuff I would never let my kids do today. Anyway, so that's what I would be doing at 13. But I do appreciate you being here. Many, many, many years ahead of you. You do have to realize that you're on the younger side of things. But these are good things to think about and have goals to shoot for in the future. So it's all good. Don't let anyone bring you down. As light streams into the top part here, so this is light streaming in, and then light also will bounce off objects. So we're going to add a little highlight on top of this helmet here. And then along these his gauntlets here. Add a little bit there to kind of ease out that transition. And then a little bit over here too. This toothbrush is only good for a little bit, and then kind of put a little dot on your finger. Okay. See that line there? That's that little thin line is from the toothbrush, the whiteout in the toothbrush getting kind of coagulated, and it throws off these kind of lines as the whiteout starts acting more like a glue or gel than a liquid. Okay. This, whatever that was there. And then I'm wondering, this line here, there's a way to kind of thin it out. Let me show you what I'm thinking. See if this makes a difference to you. Hold on. I'm gonna make that nose pop out a little bit. Watch. Once you start putting whites down, like they become very powerful. Especially in a dark kind of gray field like that. The white areas will pop out and create visual interest. All right, so I'll fix some of these lines here that make no sense. right, like that. Some like little glowy dots. These cables here, jacked up. And so let's go ahead. Okay. I want to know what sketch number this is. Where am I at?